Now, why do you think these two aren't affected by the Rakghoul plague? Hmm?
Greetings, lore seekers, and welcome to another episode of the Lost Archives. More Star Wars Legends lore, and today we're going to be covering the Rakghoul plague, or Rakghoul disease as it is also known. Now you'll probably note that I have included this one on the Super Weapons playlist as well as the general playlist. The reason for this is if left unchecked, this could run rampant across the galaxy and pretty much depopulate the galaxy, leaving only Rakghouls behind. Why is this? Well, the disease is incredibly infectious. All it takes is a scratch, or a bite, or enough coexisting in a habitat where the Rakghouls are, and you will become infected with the plague. And eventually, and quite sinisterly, you will turn into a Rakghoul. So, how did the plague itself begin? Well, with a lot of problems in the Star Wars galaxy, this is an engineered virus, specifically by the ancient Sith Lord, Karnesh Muir. The reason for this, like many Sith, he was trying to escape death, and so he created something called the Muir Talisman, which he poured his mind, his will, and his Sith sorcery / magic, or as I like to call it, Sith alchemy, into. Now, with the power of this talisman, he could essentially create Rakghouls instantaneously that would serve him. Unfortunately, it wouldn't be able to deal with all alien species and Force sensitives. This was a shortcoming of the talisman. And so, to compensate for this, he created the Rakghoul plague, which is a virus-like plague that every Rakghoul would have on them with which to infect an individual. This would not be limited to any alien species or Force sensitives. If you got bitten or scratched by a Rakghoul, you were going to become a Rakghoul unless a cure could be found. And unfortunately, for many, many years, there was never a cure until around the time of the Jedi Civil War, or the New Sith Wars as they were called, during the time of Malik and Revan. Unfortunately, that cure may have been lost with Taris, but as the Rakghoul plague was mostly located to the planet of Taris' undercity at that point, the majority of the Rakghouls on the planet will have been levelled in the destruction of Taris that happened around that time. Now, if you were to, be bitten by a Rakghoul or scratched by one and you weren't killed by them, eventually what would happen with over the course of the next 6 hours to a maximum of 48 hours, you would start to feel odd, as though something is growing inside you. And it will continue to grow into more and more intensity, but you won't just feel it under your skin. You'll feel it in your head, until eventually, and surely, you fully transform, losing your mind in the process. You are now a fully transformed Rakghoul, capable of spreading the disease even further. Now, I do plan on doing a full video on the Rakghouls themselves and all their various sub-variants, but it is note that the disease can change over time and infect newer creatures. Like, for example, there was a reek that can be infected with the Rakghoul plague, which means the virus can adapt to non-sapient and sentient creatures, as well as be influenced by the addition of radiation and also various other chemicals that can change how the virus affects its host, creating different strains or even strengthening them in some cases. But just as an example of how the Rakghouls had survived, primarily through their scratchings and their bites, they were able to last up to past the Galactic Civil War and even into the Legacy era, which is 140 years after the Battle of Yavin. Should give you some idea of how ingenious this virus is, and also the creatures it creates. They're quite hardy creatures. But anyway, this has been a short video on the Rakghoul plague and covering its effects. If you like what you heard, perhaps consider leaving a comment down below, maybe I missed some lore, leaving me a like, and maybe subscribing if you haven't already done so. And perhaps maybe sharing this around if you think anyone you know might find this interesting. That being said, you will find my sources listed in the description down below. And yeah, have a good day, take care, and may the lore keepers ever be in your favour. And if you see any Rakghouls, best to give them a wide berth.